Hello, everyone. Welcome to SEO Office Hours. My name is Juliana Turnbull, and I'm the host today on the show with Yordan. This is our 86th episode. Part of what we do, along with our special guest today, are these SEO Office Hour sessions. So we've been running this for just over 2 years. So everyone, anyone that's here joining us live can jump in and ask their questions around their websites and web search. As we mentioned before, nobody's in the hot seat. You can ask any question you want. We may not know all the answers, but that's the fun part about SEO office hours. Everyone can jump in and answer questions because multiple heads thinking about a problem is always better than one. So we've got loads of questions today, and we're going to go through them all. But if anyone that is joining us live on the call would like to ask any questions, please do write it in the chat, and we will be monitoring that. And there's loads of other people answering as well. And as I mentioned, we have loads of people joining us. Thank you very much, our regular audience. And they're joining us live on the call. They always share their ideas and their comments and perspective. And myself and Mike, we really like the show because having it live, that's one of the best things because we can actually get other people's perspective. It's not just hearing from the four of us, it's hearing from everyone here in the audience today. And on our 86th episode, we have the co-host Yordan. Thank you very much, Yordan Dimitrov, for being our co-host today.
Thank you so much for having me, Joe, and thank you everyone for joining us live. So I'm Yordan Dimitrov, and I'm an SEO manager at Reflect Digital, a behavioral science-led digital marketing agency that blends scientific insight with creative strategy. With over 10 years of experience in SEO, account management across diverse industries, I've spoken at SEO office hours before, Brighton SEO, Belgrade SEO conference, Search and Stuff, and other public forums. Outside of SEO, you could find me either behind the camera or planning my next trip. And I'm so happy to be your co-host today. And thank you so much, Joe and Michael, for inviting me to host again. I really appreciate that. And I also want to give thanks to our very special guests, Victoria and David, today for joining us. I'll introduce Victoria and David with a bio about them before we get into the questions.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Jordan. And we recently saw you at Brighton where you gave an excellent talk. Thank you so much for obviously sharing so much at the presentation, search and stuff as well. You've been very busy. So I'll pass back to you. We have two special guests on the show today, and then we will kick off with the questions.
Thank you so much, Joe. So today we have David Sayce, who began working in SEO back in 1995. That's before Google and even before the helpful fella Jeeves. With a truckload of experience, David is currently the interim digital marketing manager at AMPA, which is Legal and Professional Services, and oversees the digital marketing strategy and delivery across AMPA's house brands, including Shakespeare's, Martineau, Marons, and other professional service entities. He is also digital marketing and SEO consultant, a mentor, and has held multiple digital marketing non-exec positions and has an extensive in-house and agency experience. You could learn a bit more about him on his LinkedIn profile, which I've just pasted in our chat. Thank you. And we also have the lovely Oludare Victoria Ibukun, who is a freelance SEO content writer with several years of experience in creating high quality, engaging content optimized for both search engines and social media. She helps product and service based businesses stand out, get found on SERP, and attract leads with content and copy that connect. Her love for writing began at the age of 16. By 20, she landed her first professional story writing role, and by 23, she had transitioned into SEO copywriting. Victoria's expertise spans across SEO, SEM, social media marketing, email marketing, and content marketing. She believes that great content isn't just written, it's built through skill, strategy, and execution that deliver a measurable impact. I'm going to also share her account on LinkedIn within the comments. And please do let us know where you're calling in from. Last week, we had people calling from London, Barcelona, Norwich, Newcastle, Australia, Gloucester, and others. And again, thank you so much for joining us live on the show.
Yeah, thanks everyone. We have a regular audience member, which is great, and we've had been doing this for 2 years. Thank you to Mike for setting up, and also for John for the support, because obviously this was originally Google's SEO office hours. We've got loads of questions today, so best get tucked in and stuck in. First question, then, how do you actually measure share of voice across AI platforms like ChatGPT or Perplexity? Interesting. Victoria, do you want to start with this one?
Okay, share a voice is how visible you are online. So the way you can measure it through AI is to actually ask the AI the questions that you have written about content. For example, if you are a air conditioning brand, let's say you sell air condition like AC or fan, something like that, then you can just browse something like how much is a brand of air conditioner that you sell. Then if it brings out your own, you have a strong search for voice. But if you don't, you probably need to push out more content and more PR concerning that product. So that's just for example. So ask the AI about your brand, things that your brand does, and if it brings out your brand, then you're good. If it doesn't, you need to push more.
Okay, thank you, Victoria. And David, can you share perhaps maybe some tools that you've been using or how we can measure share of voice?
Yeah, I think Victoria's comments are great, and it is an easy way to do it. Go in there and do that investigation yourself. I would say probably best to make sure you're not logged in. It has a history of picking up your search history of prompts and whatnot. As for software to use, I've been doing some tests with the likes of good old SEMrush, SEO Monitor, and of course Weke as well, the Dixon Jones offering, which I really like. Checking that out against both the website, some of the areas of the business that we cover, but also with Weke and SEMrush as well. You can look at those specific prompts and get a good idea of what's going on and where you need to put the work in.
Thank you, David. And Jordan, do you have anything else to add to this?
I agree with both comments, and yeah, we have Wakey, which is a really good platform, and I think also there are other competitors at the moment, such as, for example, Peak AI, which also have a similar offering, which allows us to measure that visibility of our brand. And I think when it comes to that share of voice, it's also important to look at the actual sentiment which is attached to the queries and what is being perceived on there. And within the comments, you also have a few that have come up. So Simon put amount of eyebrows raised, and we've also got from Ian who put that's how you pronounce it. I've been calling it way AK. Yeah, so AK actually stands out for what AI knows about you. But I even spoke to Dixon, and he himself wasn't sure what's the best way to pronounce it. So that's how I do it. It depends. It's one of them.
Ah, you said it first. It depends.
Had to be done.
We would like to have AI overviews. I think we'd love to have that in Google Search
Mm.
Console. I think some people have been asking that. Later Cities wrote a massive post about it. So I do hope sometimes we might have that. I do agree with the rest of what Victoria, Jordan, David were saying regarding some of the tools, and also like you doing a quick test. You can do this, just check if you're logged in or not. Google, we were actually SEO office hours appearing for AI overviews, which was quite nice, and also appearing position one. Of course, it depends on the day. It's not always consistent. Great. Everyone, anything else in the chat?
I think that was it in terms of the chat. There was one question from Reg, which was like, how about using long queries from Search Console and trying them out? So basically copying those across from your Search Console and seeing whether you're visible within ChatGPT and Perplexity for those queries, which I think is actually a good shout. And you could also use things like also asked to see if there are any questions which people are asking as part of their user journey and entering them into both platforms.
That is a very good point. Thank you, Rich. And now we have our going on to our second question. So, Google says it rewards useful content, not necessarily human content. Yet its reviewers are told to flag AI generated text as low quality. How should we draw that line? What actually makes AI assisted content high quality in Google's eyes, and how can we prevent it from being treated as spam? David, would you like to be the first to answer this question?
I will. I think the boring answer is know your audience and write to their needs. Whether you're using AI or not, I think AI can be great there for research, for collecting data. But I think at the end of the day, to get the quality and building in what you know about your target audience, that's where still the human element comes in. I think Google and the other search engines, they're just looking for good quality content. If you can give a bit more detail, a bit more depth into what other people have answered, then all the better.
Great, thank you, David. Do you have something to add to that one, Victoria?
Just like David said, he said that Google and search is looking for quality content. So let's take, for instance, this thing that baby writers do, whereby if you give them a topic to write on, they basically just read blog posts that ranks for them and just vomit it again, just change some words and just post it like that. When you create that kind of content,
Oh, I think maybe just a bit of a freeze there. Wait a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds. Oh, you
think
just
we're
froze,
back.
Victoria. So can you repeat that last point, please?
okay, so just like David said, search, Google is looking for quality content. So if you're trying to create content for search or Google and you want to use AI, that is fine. Realistically, that is how business owners do it. You have to scale, so you have to use AI to do it. So if you want to do something like that, you have to make sure that you are doing your research, like real life research, and not just doing your research online. So you have something that you can add to the content. Don't just vomit content and change some words. Add something in real life. Is it practicable? Can somebody practice it? Is it something that makes sense? Is it logical? Is it somebody will understand? So something like that. Create content like that and not just AI content.
All right, thank you, Victoria. And Jordan, do you have anything else to add to that?
I love both points, and I totally agree that it's a case of actually adding value and not just recycling content by paraphrasing it. And our double agent, Giano, aka John, also made a really good point, which is make awesome things, don't just make many things.
I do like that comment. I also agree with what we have all said today on the call. I do want to also highlight the fact that before AI, there was a thing called plagiarism that a lot of people used to do at uni or at school. You wouldn't take something from a book and then pass it off as your own. And I think we can use AI to help us, like we can use the books in the past to help us write the content, but you can't just put it in and then just say, okay, finished, that's great, and then check it out. We do need to have that human element and also to actually be able to identify what is actually relevant.
I think that
Oh, yeah.
human element as well, that brings in the tone of voice, the personality, and that's something that AI can still struggle with a bit.
Yes, definitely. I hope there will be some time that we will see. I hope that we will still have a bit more time before AI starts to get the tone and voice. So humans are very much a need with the content. Great. So our third question today, again, is about AI, but this is more focused around sort of PR. So for those of you and for those of us in PR, more clients are asking about AI overview visibility. How much do earned media and brand mentions influence whether AI recommends a brand? And what's the best advice we can give right now? Victoria, would you like to start off with this question?
I would say that AI does have some part to play because most times when I myself want to make a decision, most times I go to AI to do my research before I go online and check the brand, if the brand is actually real, if they are actually like giving on their promises, if they are actually real. If they are real, then I buy from them. If they are not, I just see AI is just saying rubbish. So I would say investing in PR is actually right. It's okay.
Good. And David, you've been working with a lot of B2B clients, especially some of these law firms. What do you think about this question? How do you think that earned media and brand mentions influence what comes into AI overviews?
I think it's definitely important. It's about the quality, as always, it's about the quality. So within professional services, we make sure that we try and get mentions from the specific trade press and wider press on specific topics. I think it really does help with the authority of AI. But you also need to make sure that your website's in a good place to back that up as well. I think both elements play a part.
Yeah, some great points here. And Jordan, would you like to add to that? Or maybe there might be some comments in the chat.
I think just to add to that, it's also about that sentiment and what those like third party mentions which are brought through PR are telling about you. So recently I was analyzing one of our clients and we noticed that although some of their reviews weren't as good as across the board, the actual AI overview is pulling information from which and suggesting that they're actually a reputable brand on the back of the fact that they were mentioned by which is very trusted across the UK. And in terms of comments, we've had a bit of quietness. So everyone, please do share your thoughts on the comment section. John just put, I'm just wary of people taking ideas like this and blindly generating PR and paid posts. Maybe it
Yes.
works, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it sinks your site tomorrow. It depends.
Yeah, it does. I went to a great conference yesterday, actually, International Search Summit. So this has been organized by Kirsty. It was founded by Gemma a few years ago. And we had an excellent presentation, actually, by Jess Schultz about AI. I'll see if we can share the links later of the presentation. But basically, the fact that you really need to be there and you need to be building up your brand because AI doesn't take everything. It might just take like a snippet, it might just take an image, it might just take a video. So make sure you build up your brand and brand your content so that when people see it, they know that it's yours. That was an excellent presentation about the importance of branding and how AI has been making a massive impact really in the search results. But we work at SEO and there's always lots of changes happening. Great. We are whizzing through these questions today. Yeah, this was quite an interesting question, slightly different. We'll move a little bit away from the AI section. From one person submitted this question earlier this week. I was in an SEO meeting the other day, they say, and the agency was just openly talking about buying links. But I thought this was against Google's guidelines. What should we be doing? Yordan, maybe you can share. Is this not against the guidelines to be buying links?
It is, especially at bulk. Please don't buy links from any like ones at bulk because it's not good. But from what I've also read is that Google's crawler is actually good at understanding when it's spam. But I would still be cautious of like seeing a really bad backlink profile and just seeing if there's an opportunity to actually improve that. Over to you, Joe.
Yeah, actually, I just want to say, like, we don't have context about, okay, when they started buying links, it could be like they were doing, maybe they might have been doing a digital PR campaign, which does involve buying because you are asking someone else to do work with you. So that could be a sense of buying links. And I would say that is not bad to do. You are promoting yourself. You're talking about that product, if you have that product feature or that product going live, and then obviously it links back to your site. Totally fine. But I pass over to you, David, and you can let us know what do you think about buying links? This is digital PR, or maybe they're talking about Black Hat. We don't
Yeah,
know.
I think that's a really good point. Yes, Google states quite clearly that you shouldn't be buying links. I think you also need to be wary of it might not be, as you say, a financial situation. It could also be, I'll give you a link for you giving me a link situation as well. I think you need to be very careful, especially having somebody doing this sort of work for you. I've had a lot of clients that have spent a lot of money specifically on backlinks, only to find out they are some of the cheapest, nastiest backlinks, offer absolutely no value, and at the very worst can actually cause some harm to your website as well. So I think for anyone dealing with links, be wary of the quality there. With your agency, be clear with them how the links are being gathered as well.
Very good point there, David. Victoria, have you had much experience with buying links, or maybe some agencies you work with, did they buy links, and what did you do?
Okay, the way I see it, like buying links is not bad if the links you are buying is okay. If it's not spam links, then buying it is okay. That's where I see it. Like it depends on the type of links you are buying. If you are buying, let's say for instance, you sell houses, probably a real estate business, and you want to buy links, you would now bought links from an agricultural brand. That doesn't make sense. You should buy links from something that is going to complement your brand. So it depends on how you're buying the links. That's how it's.
Victoria said it depends. Okay, thank you, Victoria. So yeah, we are whizzing through these questions. Now, have you got anything in the chat, Yordan?
Pretty has asked, someone is selling 100 links for $50. Should I buy?
Probably not.
Yeah, but if Simon is selling them, then he thinks yes, because he's trying to make a living.
Yeah, I could both. It depends really on, who that person is. We've got, as I said, loads of different, we're whizzing through these ones. Our next one is actually about Google My Business. We have actually asked quite a lot of questions about this. Our questions seem to be a lot about AI recently. So the question is, can I create two different Google My Business listings from the same address without running into verification problems? Who has got experience with Google My Business? Yes, David, please. What is the answer to this one? Or is it another it depends situation?
Of course, there's an element of that. And you also have to think about it this way. There'll be co-working spaces, business parks, things like that, where you have a lot of firms, organizations with exactly the same address, and they're being listed on Google Business Profiler. The main thing I'd say is that from Google's point of view, you want each of those businesses to be a distinct legal entity. So in the UK, it may be two registered companies, limited companies, whatever. If that's the case, then that's absolutely fine. But having John Smith and John Smith Plumbing and trying to game the system like that really doesn't end well. And I've seen businesses just disappear off Google Business Profile because of that.
Oh, interesting. So you've actually seen that. Then what
Yeah.
happened? Then took a long time to get back?
It takes a while. You need to make sure you settle on which is the official business, and then you need to go through the Google hoops. And what this sometimes means is with the validation with Google, it's things like sending over the letters of incorporation, doing a video of you walking into the reception with clear signage. And we're currently doing this with a new office just to set up the initial validation. But they'll sometimes also do this when you get blacklisted from it due to this behavior. And especially one thing to bear in mind is if you are in a very competitive local environment, your competitors are going to be keeping an eye on these things and possibly flagging your listings as well to bring it to the attention of Google.
Wow, it sounds like your clients have gone through some pain there.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely want to not spend time doing that. So don't register the same business if it's John Smith and John Smith Plumbing. Victoria, is there anything else you'd like to add to that one?
The same address is okay, but the name of the business has to be different.
Okay, thank you. And have you had much experience with Google My Business before?
From my experience, when I used to work with automotive dealerships, it was actually quite common for a dealership to have different sub-brands within the same roof. So it was a case of one of the comments said from, sorry if I've mispronounced your name, but in essence, you need to have a different entrance. And so long as you can actually validate that, then you could have more than one like listing under the same address. But it does get awkward because if, like David said, someone flags it up, then you need to go back and re-verify it, which, like Waleem mentioned, it would involve sending registration certificate, tax returns, or even doing like a live verification video, which could be quite timely. And Ian just put that there was a competing agency in the same building as us who had a legit Google business profile called SEO Agency Newcastle, which ranked. We flagged it so many times and there was no avail. And John is saying, oh, that's a case of name keyword stuffing, and it's quite annoying. And John has actually asked, does it help to have multiple Google business profiles in the same location? What's our thoughts on that?
Does it help to have multiple? I haven't seen it. That has been actually a benefit. I have had, I have seen other multiple GMBs Google My Business in the same location, but this is because of a co-working space. But totally legit. So everyone that works there, yeah, they'll have their business registered address there, their actual business company name, and that's obviously registered if you're in like the UK with the HMRC. So that's totally legit. I've been informed that as you can have Google My Business profile if there actually is also a place where you would go in and do business. So that does include things like virtual offices where there actually is an entrance, not just, oh, I'm renting a post box. So that's what I found.
It's interesting about the SEO agency Newcastle that's mentioned in the comments there, because that sort of keyword in the name with GBP, that often gets flagged quite quickly, even adding to the end of your company name, I don't know, digital consultant or plumber or whatever. Google generally says that the name of the listing should be the actual entity name of the organization. I'm surprised that one didn't get flagged.
I hope that it can get flagged. Keep trying and get
Yeah.
that taken down because that's very naughty of those people.
It
Have you
is.
got
It
anything
is.
else in the chat you ordered? Otherwise, maybe we're like
Um,
flying by these questions.
We are indeed. The only other comment which I want to flag up is the one by Simon, which is if you have 10 private doctors all operating from the same surgery, but all wanting their own Google business profile. But I think you answered that one, Joe, didn't you? That as long as you actually do business within that specific location, you could potentially claim that listing.
Yeah, they would actually need to be a registered business with HMRC and then have that as business address. They can't be like, oh yeah, I just spend, I don't know, 20 hours a month at London Hospital.
I can
Huh?
just imagine if the law firms did that and you had 200 partners of a law firm all wanting Google business profiler for the same address, that could get very messy.
It sounds like a law conference to me with lots of exhibitors. But yeah, thank you
Yeah,
all so much.
exactly.
Thank you all so much for joining us live today. If you're watching on YouTube, please don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to the Good Signals YouTube channel. And if you want to join us live, please head over to Good Signals website to get the invite for the SEO office hours added to your calendar. You can also submit questions and watch previous episodes. I'm going to paste the link in the chat as well.
Great. Thank you, Jordan. Yeah, so it is our 86th episode. As maybe mentioned earlier, we had our 2-year anniversary. So just want to give a massive thanks out to everyone that's been joining us on since the beginning of our journey. Really enjoy that. It's my favorite part of the Friday. And Jordan has also come before. And actually, he's not working on Fridays. It is a 4-day week for Reflect Digital. Thanks for being so supportive and joining us. And then there's Preeti. Hi, Preeti. Yeah. Perfect. Wow, we've got loads more questions to get through. I've added a couple more actually because we're going
Thank
through
you.
these so quickly. This one is more of a tech one. Is it normal for old URLs to still appear in Google even after I set up a proper 301 redirects? Victoria, do you have much experience with tech? Have you seen this happen before with some clients?
Okay, is it normal? Yes, it's actually very normal because there was a time when I was working with Perplexity and there was this post that actually needed redirect. So when we implemented that, it took time before it's actually happened because Google, we actually have to crawl it again for it to recognize that, okay, this should not be recognized anymore. So yes, it's possible. Just relax. It's going to work.
Relax, exactly. Relax. It's going to work. Take your time. I don't know if we actually has anyone actually recorded like how long maybe this takes? And David, have you have experience on that? How long
It
it took to have when you did a 301 redirect so that the other ones are not appearing?
I'm going to have to use the immortal phrase, it depends. It's generally weeks to months. When it gets into the months area, I would be looking to see if there's anything causing it.
Yeah.
But generally, a few weeks, couple of months, that's usual.
Yeah, it depends, and that actually is a very good answer in this case. And Jordan, perhaps that reflects of you guys seeing a time that where you didn't actually see any more of these URLs in the SERPs, or is it like David said, it depends on the situation?
It varies.
Oh, getting in there.
Yeah. Yeah, it varies. So it would vary based on how frequently would that site be recrawled, the size of the site. There's so many like external factors that come
Right.
into play.
And
Yeah,
popularity as well.
very true.
Sometimes there's just those links that have that strength. And I
Mm.
think Mr. Cox has mentioned this and given us an example website in the comments. Yes, sometimes it can go on a lot longer because that is just what has been known, and Google still thinks, and the search engines still think that is the best way to get in.
Good to have everyone's opinion on this one. I have found also, yes, it also has depended on the site, how big the site was. But actually, if we have done the proper redirects for the URLs that we wanted to do, it would be redirected. From my experience, sometimes it has taken up to maybe 2 or 3 months to not see so much, but you can see that as well anyway. I do looking at Google search, so you can see that in there. Have we got anything else in the chat, Jordan?
David mentioned the comment which Simon made, and I think apart from that, there's been a few jokes with regards to it depends, but people are overall in agreement that there is legit instance where it will vary. Therefore, we can't give an exact estimate, but it is completely normal for those URLs to remain on.
So while we're on the subject of redirects and a bit more of the tech, we have another question that's come in actually. This is a bit more around maybe UX. But this person said, I've been seeing a lot of blogs adding the in-article navigators or the in-page jump to section menus on the blog post. Does this actually do anything for SEO? I myself find it actually quite useful, but I have never looked at it from an SEO point of view. If anyone has any other comments, please jump in. David, do you use this much at
Yeah,
work?
yeah. I've got to say, I think it is mostly around usability. I think that's where the biggest strength is. Depending on the article, depending on the length of the article, the topics involved, especially across professional services, I find it really useful to have just to help the user get to the sections that they want within it. From an SEO point of view, I think it may help a little bit with featured snippets, gaining those. I think depending on how your website is performing, it could help with search engines trawling websites and pulling out data, possibly even the AI side as well. But I think the vast majority is towards the user experience of the page itself.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I definitely think this is more of a user experience. Is there anything different you wanted to add, Victoria, on that one? Probably it looks like more of a user experience.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I agree with. It's just the user experience. It doesn't really do anything for SEO. Apart from structure, with AI now, AI really likes posts with structure. The more structured your post is, the better AI would like it. So probably just for structure and maybe for good user experience so that as the user opens it and doesn't really have the time to start scrolling down, they just click on it and get to where you want to get to.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think it looks like more of a user experience issue, unless there's anything else you wanted to add to that part.
No, I'm happy to go straight into the comments because we've had a few
Oh,
good
good.
suggestions. So Simon's put for longer articles, a set of jump links can work really well. So Google quote how to build a log store. And the other element I wanted to also touch about is a point which Ian made. So better UX equals better SEO. And in my opinion, that also ties in well with accessibility and making the web accessible to a wider audience. So these things will all kind of work together in a holistic way, where if you do one, then you benefit across the rest of them. Corina also mentioned, genuinely curious, why do you think it helps with featured snippets? Because of the hashtag anchor.
Yeah, actually, I did find it did help with featured snippets back in the day, actually. And it did actually help when you could actually have those blue links appear, some of the headings of the page. It did actually make a difference. I haven't tested it in a while though, but that was, yeah, it was because, yes, it was because of that anchor text. So yes, it did, but I can't say now if that is the case. Great, thanks everyone. So we have another question more around how people are doing some maybe malicious SEO manipulation. So, how should SEO teams work together to monitor for and defend against this malicious SEO manipulation that could damage both the rankings of their client or their own website and brand trust? Yeah, I think people must have a lot of time on their hands to do this malicious SEO manipulation against others. Does anyone have any sort of experience of this has happened to their clients? Victoria, have you seen this within sort of content marketing? Or maybe you haven't been part of that, which is good, if not.
Okay, I haven't been part of that, but my suggestion is that you are an SEO team, meaning everybody should be thinking together. So, like, work together, the technical SEO person, the content writing SEO person, the social media person, the content that is out there, is it affecting it? So that's what I'll definitely say. Work together and
Thank
brainstorm.
you. Yeah, definitely. It's very important, I would say, to break down any silos. And actually, I think it's actually really important, really, for people to do this outside of the SEO team. Monchito said that it's the PR team too, but I really think that other people in the rest of the company do need to be aware of how people are talking about that person's brand, and because you can see that in the SERP results or in the SERP. So, what about you, David? You have a lot of experience within the law and like the finance field. Have you seen people do this to some of your clients?
I've seen
Oh,
whole websites being duplicated, content taken
okay.
off, and yeah, it's not good. And then with some of the smaller clients, there's also an impact on Google Business Profile, negative review comments being left out of general business spite. I think defending against any malicious SEO requires some form of ongoing monitoring and the mindset of the team that it isn't just content and rankings, but also safeguarding the site and the brand's integrity. I think there are tools out there that you can use to keep an eye on what's happening across the website. But yeah, I think it's the wider teams to keep an eye on areas such as Google Business Profile, what the backlinks are like, keeping an eye out for duplicated content across other websites as well. It can be very bad for a business, and it should really be part of digital marketing monitoring.
Yes, definitely digital marketing monitoring, important for everyone in the actual company itself. And Jordan, you've worked with quite a lot of clients. Have you found anyone has had a lot of time on their hands and done this very naughty, malicious SEO manipulation against others?
I've seen a couple of things over the years. So one of them is people leaving negative reviews at bulk to Google Business Profiles. So all of a sudden, an agency might get lots of negative reviews, 1 stars from people who have never worked with that agency. And it's difficult to sometimes report them, especially if they
Yeah.
don't actually leave a comment. But Google, I know, is actively working to resolve that and help business owners to ensure that actual reviews are accurate. I think last week Becky also talked about an instance where recently our website was replicated, and we had
Really?
people apply for jobs in Australia to join us. And then we actually had to put a message specifically for anyone with Australian IP when they visit the site to let them know that we aren't currently recruiting. And unfortunately, the way that it happened is a lot of people actually try to apply for jobs over the weekend when we're actually not active. So it is one of them where it's so easy to get into that negative space and have someone try and do negative tactics against you. But like you said, it's about us trying to be on top of it and collectively work holistically with the rest of the teams to keep things. Yes, I've seen things.
You've seen things. That's terrible. Yes, I do remember that she said that. The thing is, obviously, with the time zone with Australia, if someone's like applying over the weekend, it probably because it's like Sundays, but over there it's Monday. Yeah, so that sort of flagged a lot of things. Good that they were to do that, but imagine just copying. I guess they say imitation is the best form of flattery, but that's taking a little bit, I
Not
would
sure
say,
about that.
that's too far.
I think with larger organizations, it should definitely form a part of their business continuity planning.
Yeah.
Yeah, because things like that, where the site's copied and they're collecting personal data, I've seen that happen across a lot of professional services. And a lot of these firms end up having to have notifications on the website about various phishing techniques going on, duplication of websites, and it can cause a lot of reputational issues.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. I really hope that people get more things to do in their lives and don't do something as silly as this, but yeah, people are, say, a bit different sometimes. So this is another interesting question actually around sort of SEO. So around thinking it as a last minute thing. Oh, we're doing something, let's just sprinkle some SEO. And this particular question, it's most brands treat SEO as a post-mortem, reporting on what had already happened. But surely the real edge must come from predicting what's about to break. What are your thoughts for the go-to methods for spotting early keyword or intent shifts before competitors notice this? For example, Google Trends. What about sort of impression spikes? How are you using SEO to forecast, not just measure? So predict the future. What is going to happen? David, could you share maybe your insights into the future? How do you see what's going to happen?
Obviously, I've got an SEO time machine that I use and just easy way to do it. But no, I think you mentioned two things I was going to say there, and that is keeping an eye on your Google Search Console, see what's happening with that, where the spikes are, consider seasonality as well within that. As you say, Google Trends, I think something like InLinks does a lot of trending data as well to see what's happening across different markets and topics. So really it's an education intelligence piece that is quite important to run with.
Education, yes, this is very true. I would also see like the trends. It depends on the market that you are in, and of course, what's happening in the world. So I was working with clients and they had noticed a spike. I think this was actually more, it was more clothing companies had noticed a spike in, for example, jogging bottoms in the UK, for example, because this was in COVID, people were like in home more often. So they're not really obviously going to be buying anything outside to clothes to actually wear to go to the office. But of course, things like home deliveries increased a lot as well. I don't think you necessarily need to wait till it like, oh yeah, we're definitely seeing that trend. You can also just predict it. Something like, for example, in some countries, there's Christmas. People buy a lot of gifts for their kids. They like to overindulge depending on where they are. And there's always the toys that are coming out for Christmas. So you can always predict, okay, if let's say Barbie, I used to love Barbie. Barbie has her new like rock band show coming out. So people would actually want to buy the Barbie, maybe the Barbie Rockstar, Ken Rockstar, the dog Rockstar. And you can see that's going to be a trend. So you could obviously optimize for that if you are in that category. But I'll pass over to Victoria and then, or Yordan, if you want to add, if there's anything else that you found about predicting and forecasting for SEO.
Okay, this kind of reminds me of demand generation, where everybody is saying generate demand, generate demand, generate demand. Look, when you're looking at keywords, you should be looking at what your data, internal data is saying. That's your zero data, and what search is saying. That's like the keyword research you're doing, right? So predict it. My people, my internal data is saying that my audience are moving from, let's say, product A to product B. And the keywords research has not yet said that. So you can create content around product B since your internal data is saying your people are moving to product B. So look at your internet data, look at your external data, then you can predict what you want to predict.
Yeah, and perhaps on that point, are you talking also about internal site search?
Yes,
Yeah.
internal data, like everything.
Yeah, very good point. And Yordan, what about forecasting? What can we do?
I think a lot of the things which I wanted to share or have already been mentioned. So if you're happy for us to go into the comments.
Yes, we'd love the comments.
So Ramon just put, wow, very true. Being hired in the post-mortem is very good for your ego and the bottom line. Simon put, make the news, don't be the news.
That's a great one.
And Preeti put, build a time machine would actually be a better idea. And I do think that is the case. So let me know if you work out how to do that, because I'd highly make sure that I actually subscribe.
You need the flux capacitor.
Yeah.
Remember, we need that.
I think, Joe, something that you mentioned there, I mean, there's the unknowns that you can look at for the future, but I think a good content strategy where you have awareness across the business for things like Christmas. One thing we're currently working on is preparation in the UK. We've got a government budget coming out on the 26th of November. That's a known area that we can prepare for, and we know we can build the SEO visibility over time with that as well.
This has certainly got a lot of topics, a lot of conversations going. Thank you, everyone. We've actually answered one of the most record number of questions so far. We've had 9 questions answered. Thanks, everyone, and for all your comments in the chat. We have got one final question. So we always ask this every SEO office hours. It is, what are you most excited at the moment in terms of SEO? Victoria, just if you could give just a couple of points, because we just got 4 minutes left.
Okay, what am I most excited about? AI has really come and disrupted a lot of things. So I'm excited to see how people are going to react to AI in 2026. Yeah. I think it's going to come with people not believing AI, they not believing content they see online, people doubting everything they see. So I'm excited to see the reactions of people in 2026, actually.
Great, perfect. And David?
I'm looking forward, as I do every year, to seeing websites just working on their quality, whether that's technical or content. I think that's what builds into SEO visibility, into elements of AI search. I am seeing more firms, especially with the content side, actually giving greater consideration to spending time on quality content and a bit more thought on not the amount of words that are on a page or how often they go up, but greater thought into client consumer intent and why it's going on there, and bottom line of how that impacts the business. Hopeful that's the way things are going, but I say it every year.
And Yordan, what about you? What are you most excited about?
I'm really excited about agentic browsers and seeing what impact that has on our industry, because we need to make sure that our websites are accessible, but it's also interesting to see how those agentic browsers are going to browse through our websites, how easy is it for them to convert. So I'd love to spend more time researching into that, trying new tools and seeing what happens.
Great, thank you. And thank you everyone also to our speakers for joining us. I'm really excited about the continuation of SEO office hours. I'm also very excited about events. There was a great one at International Search Summit yesterday. And also, I should have said at the beginning, I'm doing hopefully a Search London 15th birthday party. I'd love if everybody could just take a moment to have a look at the poll and vote of a date if you are able to go into London to attend, what date works best for you. So we're actually teaming up with another organization. I may share that in the next call. It'll be a great 15th birthday. So I'm always excited about connecting with other people, finding out what's going to happen. And actually, I'm also going to a digital nomad event tomorrow. If anyone is in the Barcelona area, I know we're all online. but this is the event. It's about a Digital Nomad Summit, and I'll be speaking about SEO office hours. It'll be in central Barcelona from 12 noon. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. A big thank you to David and Victoria, our special guests, and our audience as well. And thank you very much, Yordan, for being our co-host today. And thank you to Mike for letting us run the show. I hope we have done a good job. Yes, we have. We're great. So great, everyone, for joining us today. Happy Friday. And if you are watching the recording, come and join us live. It is always so much better. Thank you, as always, to those who submitted the questions and everyone that's been answering questions in the chat. And we will see you next week for 87th episode of SEO Office Hours. Only another 4 to go until the end of the year. So we will see you then at 9:30 a.m. GMT next Friday.
Thank you so much. Have an amazing weekend, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.